Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. Today's podcast is all about luxury real estate. Luxury Unlocked, 5 steps to selling high-end real estate. And as always, our notes from today's podcast are available only in our newsletter, which is harrisrealestatedaily.com. So if you've not yet subscribed, make sure you do that. It takes you 2 seconds. There's a link below in the show description that you can click on, or you just go directly over to harrisrealestatedaily.com. Enter in your email address. Remember, you have to double opt in. So in other words, pop over to your email and then confirm that you want the subscription. We are going to be including a ton of subscriber-only content in our newsletter. We already have been, but even more. I've been writing a lot of it myself. So make sure you subscribe right away to harrisrealestatedaily.com. All right, Julie, let's get to our first point.
Well, after all, this is one of our most common questions that we're asked and our coaches are asked. How do I break into the luxury market? So on today's podcast, as promised, we will show you 5 ways to crack the luxury code so you can get to work raising your average sale price immediately.
Okay, so let's give them 3 quick things to think about. Number 1, this isn't directly related to luxury in the most obvious of ways, but interest rates right now, as Julie and I have been telling you guys, are as low as they've been in forever. And I think, what was the rate today?
6.44.
6.44. Now, there are going to be things happening in the marketplace that we haven't seen happen in probably at least 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years, when rates fall below 6.5%. If they get closer to 6%, then you're definitely going to see something that feels very much like a boom market again. And this is happening at the same time in many markets where we're seeing a fairly significant increase in days on the market. I mean, we're going from 41 days to 43 days, so for whatever that is, but an inventory increase. In a lot of markets, it's up by over 20%. Lowering interest rates, increasing inventory means that even if you start your year out a little slow, and a lot of people have by looking just purely at the numbers, I can promise you that your market's going to come roaring back, so do not lose faith. You're going to want to know what actions to take. You're going to want to have a plan. You're going to want to have our coaches by your side. So make sure, if you want to have the confidence to really succeed at the highest level this year, you definitely become a Premier Coaching client. The link is below to join Premier Coaching. And remember, you can join Premier Coaching for free. Now, I'm going to give you guys another little suggestion here. One of the best times to break into luxury real estate, to Julie's first point, is going to be a market like this. Why is that true, Julie?
Well, it's because we have, with more inventory, we have things like expired listings. With a hotter market, we have more for sale by owners to go after. There's just more opportunity everywhere. And I think the other thing that's going on, you know, it started to feel this way as we all got out of COVID lockdown, and then now the whole golden era and the enthusiasm in the market. There are a ton of events. That's actually one of our first points, is how to network with people in luxury. So there's just more opportunity, I think, would be my answer.
Well, one of the biggest reasons that people hire you to be their personal coach, Julie, is because of our own track record selling luxury real estate. We started out by selling ordinary sale price homes, which today would be like $400,000, and then we migrated to a market where the average sale price, if adjusted for inflation, would be closer to $2 million. And we did that all within 10 years, and we did it during a time exactly like this. And what we discovered is that we wanted to go to, obviously, it's the same amount of work, surprise, surprise, selling a $400,000 house that is selling a $4 million house, but the numbers when it comes to getting paid are a little bit different. So what happened is we were starting to go after these expired listings in this particular market called New Albany Country Club. And the agents who had been the embedded agents, the agents that were getting the listings from centers of influence and past clients that worked the country club. In other words, the agents would have been very hard to beat because most of the sellers were the agent centers of influence. Those agents had already listed and tried and failed to sell the homes. And so the sellers were open to listing with someone who wasn't the normal constituent, from the normal
contingency.
Yes, I'm still on cold medicine if you guys can't tell.
We get the gist.
Cold medicine day 3. I'm doing my best. in any event, that is the reason that this is a perfect market to be going after those expired listings. So you have a lot of sellers that are going to be looking for fresh blood in the, agents that are going to get the job done. You're going to be using our Premier Coaching and Ethical Real Estate Professional designation materials, and you're going to get the listings. Now, had you gone after the listings and you had been competing against the agent who had been selling most of the houses in that particular market for 10 years, had you tried to compete with that agent prior, would you have gotten the listing? Maybe, but probably not. But now that listing agent who was the top dog for 10 years, now that she or he has failed, you have a legitimate shot at getting that listing. And in the market where Julie and I went after listings, it was interesting. The best listings where we went after them were the ones that had been listed 2 and 3 times.
Absolutely.
And we're going to talk about that.
Yes. So first, we're going to work into that. Of course, that is probably my favorite as well, expired, just because
Totally.
it's such an obvious thing. But we'll talk about that. That's actually our last point. So point number 1, network with high net worth individuals. Attend upscale events, join exclusive clubs, and engage with luxury lifestyle communities. Be where the luxury clients are. Upgrade your center of influence systematically. This is something that I do work a lot with my private clients on, is how to go about this. And you were talking about New Albany Country Club. We did break into New Albany Country Club on purpose, not by accident. So
not literally break in.
Well, no. Into the
But
market.
what we did is we were to go out to that area for about a year, maybe even more, before moving out there. We go out on the weekend, and we started walking all the streets, and we started to, feel more comfortable, because Julie and I are not rich kids, and we were definitely living in an area where it was very, very wealthy people. And
well, remember we did the new construction builder parade. We hosted that. We did a lot of different things before we actually moved there.
But yeah, that point being is that we got to know the neighborhood and got to realize that people were just like us, just had maybe been, more successful than we had, or, had more up to bats or whatever it was. And so when we moved out there, we had friends, we had contacts, people were familiar with us. We'd go out there and run on the running trails and things like that.
And we became more familiar with the different models, the different types of construction, the different neighborhood names, the house names, all of those things.
And when Julie turned 30, almost on her exact birthday, actually, around there, we actually bought a house in the New Albany Country Club area too. So it was a big leap for us at the time. It was a big brick mansion. It was just Julie and I and some cats.
2 dogs. Don't forget the dogs.
Yeah, and 2 dogs.
And 3 hermit crabs.
Oh, okay, there you go. Julie had a zoo before Zoe, obviously.
PZ.
But yes, so we moved out to that community, and then we really started to take off in the luxury real estate. And where has that gone ever since? Again, a lot of Julie's top clients are luxury real estate agents. How much so? Well, one of them recently had a closing where he earned almost $800,000 double-ending one listing. That is, I think, the largest commission check you've ever had one of your clients make.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Although, game on. If somebody wants to beat that, I'm all for it.
Exactly.
I don't think I've ever had a coaching client or somebody we know from real estate say they wanted to lower their average sale price, right?
No.
That's not the goal.
Well, it's ironic, Julie, that in most of the country, most of the best opportunity is with the more expensive real estate.
Yes.
Because the people are, frankly, they have more ability to buy something without financing, so they don't care about interest rates.
Almost always cash deals.
They're more experienced. And here's what's really strange, like the one I just told you guys about, that was double ending, obviously a house that was over $10 million. And the total commission, he hardly had to discount his commission at all based off what the list price was. And, what the original commission was. But the real moral of the story here is that upper end sellers and buyers, for that matter, have a tendency to appreciate the services you're providing, assuming you're doing a good job.
That's right.
And don't go after your commission.
Yeah, exactly. It does change the game plan there. So all on this first point, forge connections with high net worth clients through personalized interactions. Things like charity events, neighborhood celebrations, school events, these are all easy opportunities to use your FORD, F-O-R-D, that stands for Family, Occupation, Recreation, Dreams script, to expand your relationships. Now, we've done podcasts about the FORD script, and it's certainly part of Premier Coaching, but essentially what we're talking about is be where those high-end luxury clients are. And maybe that means that you join a social membership at an expensive club that maybe you're not going to do the full-blown golf membership, but that allows you to have dinner with them, to go to events, to do some of the kids stuff if that's your jam. So number 1, network with high net worth individuals. Number 2, specialize and showcase your expertise. Develop expertise in specific luxury property types or prestigious neighborhoods. Tour luxury new construction, preview resale homes, and become highly educated on what you're trying to break into. I know we had a coaching client. He's since retired, but he was in Laguna Beach. And one of the things that he did, he worked with a lot of buyers, but what he would do is video other agents' pre-open house listings and then invite his past client list to meet him when he's hosting those open houses. And he did a lot of $1 million+ deals just doing that. It didn't even have to be his own listings.
I'm going to interject something here between point 1 and 2.
Sure.
You're going to have to get to know, especially if you're like Julie and I, and you are a fish out of water in those upper end markets, you're going to have to get to know what those upper end folks frankly, what they think about, what they read, where they vacation. You're going to have to get to know exactly how to be like them for them to feel comfortable with you.
Watches, purses, fashion, all that kind of stuff.
And some of you are like, hell yeah, I love that stuff. Well, it's perfect for you. But you are going to get, I don't know if the right term for it is virtue signaled, but they're going to see if you know what they know. They're going to see if you're similar to them in terms of like where we were, it was very unusual for someone in the market that we sold real estate in, not Julie and I, just keeping this in mind, where they wouldn't go to Europe for the summer. They'd be gone for usually all of August. And that was just the thing. And that wasn't the world we came from, where people just traipse.
We were going to Lake Erie.
Exactly.
The Buckeye Riviera.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that's where we went on our honeymoon, too. That's how broke we were. Anyway, so you're going to have to become a bit of an aficionado about the things they're interested in. And don't make it so, how do you go about doing that? Well, if there's a gym that you can go to that they go to the gym. Get to know what they're talking about. Listen to what they're saying. Find out where they go. Like when Julie and I were living in Austin, Texas, people went to Colorado for the summer when it was super hot in Texas. And so, and they go on the West Coast in California, it's not unusual for people to go to Dubai or for people to traipse off to Hawaii on the regular. Mm-hmm. So again, if you're like a normal person like Julie and I, and you're trying to break into that particular market, you're going to have to learn what they like and how they talk. And it's not that different. It's just their preferences are going to be commensurate with their ability to pay for more expensive things. So yeah, even if you can't pay for more expensive things at this point, it doesn't mean you can't get to know more expensive things. And it's so easy on the internet anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, we used to tell people just go to the bookstore and get a bunch of magazines, but nowadays you don't even really have to do that.
Ask your ChatGPT assistant for some help.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. So under the category of specialize and showcase your expertise, also showcase your knowledge through high quality marketing materials, professional photography, virtual tours. You can't expect to sell luxury homes using your MLS printout as a home brochure.
Let me jump in here, Jules. So Julie and I are proudly involved with eXp Realty. We've been with eXp going on 6 years. It's one of the best business decisions we ever made. One of the things that eXp has done in the last 2 years they've created what I really believe this is true, the best luxury division of any of the real estate brokerages I've seen. And I know what they did. They went and looked to see what the best real estate brokerages, not just in the United States, but globally were doing. They got their collateral, their brochures. They wanted to know what their experience was. They were just essentially going to emulate the best of the best, the Ritz-Carlton type experience. And that's what they did. And so when you're at the eXp Realty and you wanting to sell luxury real estate and you want to have the eXp Realty luxury designation and you qualify, because you do have to qualify, it's definitely worth doing. So, and part and parcel of that is they have some fantastic collateral, brochures, websites, templated things that you don't have to go through the effort and the pain and the massive expense of designing it yourself. And yes, of course, you can customize it working with eXp's marketing department. So if you're not with eXp, well, first of all, if you are with eXp Realty, make sure you're becoming luxury certified. And if you're not with eXp Realty and you're interested in learning more about luxury, or you're just interested in joining eXp Realty, it would be our honor for you to consider Julie and I to be your sponsors at eXp Realty. There's a link down below to learn more about our eXp Realty group and all the benefits that we offer on top of what eXp offers if you join with us. Or if you're ready to land the plane, you're ready to join eXp Realty, you can text me directly, text at 512-758-0206, 512-758-0206. Whether you're experienced in real estate, whether you're brand new in real estate, whether you're a luxury agent, you do need to seriously consider a broker upgrade to eXp Realty. And it would be our honor if you'd consider us as your partner at eXp Realty. Speaking of which,
point number 3, partner with luxury service providers. Collaborate with luxury providers like interior designers, stagers, wealth managers, concierge services. Offer comprehensive services to luxury clients by leveraging those partnerships. And you can regularly prospect those professional centers of influence with calls, coffees, lunches. Maybe you go to the same charitable events. Refer them business and ask for business in return. One of my coaching clients just got a listing that she did not have to compete for. It was a referral from her attorney connection, who she's become friends with, and she has referred a lot of business to him. So this really does, I think you would agree with this. I can't emphasize enough the social networking in the crowd, right? Because usually when you say, how'd that agent get that listing? They probably knew that person, and that maybe you don't have a huge list of high-end past clients, but you can network with some of the people that they do transactions with.
Rob Johnson, number one agent in Greenwich, Connecticut. I think, period, might just be with his brokerage. Longtime coaching client. His average sale price, I don't even know what, $8-9 million. And we've had a lot of other coaching clients in that price range as well. One of the biggest sources of business leads that they get, believe it or not, are from other agents selling luxury real estate in different parts of the country. So, for example, I mentioned Austin to Colorado. Okay, well, there might be, and I know for Rob, it's New York City to Greenwich, Connecticut. We have clients obviously all over the country in all these little very upper and expensive real estate enclaves, and they almost always are going to get a lot of their leads every year. And it doesn't even have to be within their same brokerage. It could just be with other agents who are also working with the same luxury agents. So if you have a really nice property in LA, chances are you're also buying a property in New York. Chances are you might be buying a place in Paris. I mean, Julie and I have a friend who we haven't seen for a while, Lauren.
Yeah.
And we ran to her the other day, and she's got a spectacular property where we live. And they mentioned that they're moving to Switzerland.
Geneva, yeah.
Yeah, they're moving to Switzerland.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's cool. And then guess what? Julie has a coaching client here. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but there may have been a love connection that was made to help Julie's coaching client get that particular listing.
Yes, it all makes sense, okay? And what's the saying, 6 degrees of separation? We all know each other through, no more than 6 connections.
But again, this is really, I hope they're understanding that you and I, again, Julie's parents were school teachers. My dad and my mom, were struggling entrepreneurs. So we were not born on third base. We were not born at
Zero advantages on this.
Zero advantages. When we got married, we're like $50,000 in student loan debt. And yet we are still able to basically, inside real estate, climb that social hierarchy. And I'm going to tell you something that I'll never forget this because it was so, it removed a burden from me, that we found that the upper end folks were actually, I mentioned it earlier, they had more gratitude, but they also really appreciate Julie and I's hustle.
Yes.
And we would often have them, because damn right we had hustle, and we would often have them say to us that they wish their kids had more hustle like we did. Right. Well, I mean, surefire way to get someone to have hustle is have them grow up poor, right? Not want to be poor. But yes. And so they appreciated that because guess what? They too were like us. They too had made themselves successful. And that's the reason they had those, big ass houses and all the rest of it. And, they had children. The children didn't have those same hardships. Their children went to private schools and went to Switzerland for summer camp and all this other stuff. And so their kids don't have that same edge that the parents do, but the parents saw the edge within us. And that's something that always gave us an advantage, even amongst these sort of blue blood agents that we would compete with when we sold real estate. And when you look at some of the top agents in the country, I'm thinking of Michael and Robin Gordon. I'm thinking of Rob Johnson. I'm thinking of some of the others that we've coached over the years. Almost all of them have that same profile. They have hustle. And the sellers are also 99% of the time self-made, and they love the hustle, and they absolutely have revulsion to the agents that act like they're entitled. So your country club agent, the agent that you're intimidated by because they have the fur coat and the Rolls Royce and I'm trying to make you guys laugh here, but there are people like that. Those agents are the ones that are the easiest to beat. Okay? That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes. Now, I'm going to put you in the Wayback Machine for a second.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Do you remember one of our first high-end listings in New Albany Country Club? I can't, this was not attached to a doctor, but the doctor noticed us. We had the open house during a sleet storm. you remember that? It was on Ely Court, okay?
Yep.
And nobody was really holding open houses there, much less in the terrible weather.
And by the way, we got that Ely Court listing. I remember this quite well because it was our second year in the business.
Yes.
And it was 1.2 or 1.3 million.
Yep.
And it was a referral from Remax when we worked for Remax.
Yes. And so, of course, we were going to do an open house using what became our open house system. And that day, even in spite of the terrible weather, it was like 38 and sleeting. You know, not even pretty
It was like
out.
a normal June day in Columbus.
Basically, we still had tons of people show up. Okay, and do you remember? I think it was Dr. Pala who noticed and called us like the day after the open house. And if I recall correctly, you'll probably remember better than me because you took the call.
You're getting it right so far.
Where he said that was an amazing open house. I drove past and I noticed it. It seems like you guys are the only ones making an effort. All I ever see of these country club agents is they're on the golf course every single day.
Well,
and he turned into a ton of business.
So as this again, Julie's telling it right. So the guy's name is Dr. Palaniappan. He actually, I'm sure he's still in New Albany, maybe not, but he was an actual Raja from India he went to like Harvard or medical school or something, became a cardiologist, opened up a practice near New Albany. And one of the things he did with all the, his success was he bought houses. And so he called, just like Julie said, he called, actually, I'm trying to remember if one of his assistants called. I don't remember. But I do remember this. I went over to this guy's house, and we've been to some nice houses before, and this was right up there. I mean, I think probably at that point we've been to maybe 5 or 6 really nice, like ridiculous estate houses total.
Right. We were still mostly selling bread and butter stuff.
Right. And so Julia was at a closing, so I had to go meet with this guy myself. So he kind of summoned me to his house. And, it was this ridiculous. I remember walking up to the front door, and I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this or seen pictures of this. I'm not a tall guy. I'm 5'9", but I swear to you, this door was probably 20 feet tall. I mean, it was crazy. It was just insane. Anyway, so I rang the doorbell, and I'm not making any of this up. A butler answers the door wearing all black. Okay. I'm like, I didn't know who Dr. Paula was. And I thought it was Dr. Paula. And the guy, didn't say I'm the butler, but I kind of figured it out. Anyway, so he led me to this sitting room. Of course, this house has got a sitting room. Oh, and guess what? All the furniture in the sitting room was scaled to the scale of the house. So here I am. I'm looking like something out of a comic strip, like a 2-year-old sitting in an adult's chair because the chair was massive. So I sit down in this chair. And, I do remember he had a new Acura NSX brochure sitting on the coffee table.
Funny.
So I was like, oh, thank God, maybe I have something I can talk to him about. All right. So anyway, he has me sit there for a bit. The butler leaves. I'm in this big ass sitting room with this huge chair. I mean, the whole thing is comical. Remember? Poor kid, right? Columbus, Ohio. Anyway, so he comes in, he walks in, and, he's very nice, very, very respectful, very sweet, and he must have instantly noticed or felt that I was nervous. And he said, you and I are in the same business. And it wasn't the first thing he said to me, but it was damn near. I said, I knew he was a cardiologist. Oh, and Julie tipped her hat to this. Prior to going on the appointment, we did some searching. And when we went to property records, we found out that he owned literally pages and pages, hundreds and hundreds of homes. And so he'd been buying hundreds and hundreds of homes for like 15 years, and he owned them all over, and they're all nice houses. Like a lot of them didn't make sense.
These were not ratty rentals. These were like nice, kind of mid to high end sort of luxury stuff.
Yeah, it was really kind of shocking.
And he loved to decorate them.
Yes, he did. He did.
Remember that.
So he comes in and we sat down. We had a little conversation, and I probably mentioned something about the car brochure, knowing me. Anyway, so he goes, you and I are in the same business. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I'm in sales too. And I knew he was a cardiologist, so now he's really got my head spinning. And I said, well, how are you in sales? And he goes, well, I have to sell people on doing procedures. I thought, well, I never thought about that before. He said, so he goes, when a patient comes in and sees me and they've got a heart problem and they need a particular procedure done, I have to convince them to actually have the procedure done. And again, that was something I'd never even considered. Like a doctor has to sell somebody on anything. And the second he said that, it was almost like this massive weight had been lifted off me, not just for the sake of that meeting, but my entire life, because I never quite understood. Like I had always thought that maybe being a salesperson was sort of a fallback to a fallback to a fallback. And what this guy helped me to realize was being a salesperson is the most important job on planet Earth. And, evident by the massive house I was sitting in. It's also one of the highest paid jobs, being a salesperson. And so then I started, reading more about that. And indeed, there was a book that I found that essentially verified that indeed the highest paid people in the history of history have always been salespeople, but not like you think. It was like what Dr. Paula was saying. Cardiologist who has to talk someone into doing a procedure. You guys who have to help people. And by the way, a really good salesperson is never really talking anybody into anything. I said that wrong. What they're really doing is showing people their options and letting people choose their own options. But it's the confidence in being able to convey, the importance of maybe one option over another. That's what makes somebody get the sale or doesn't get the sale. So being a salesperson is one of the most honorable professions you can actually do, because you're helping people through a stressful patch in their lives, which, if done correctly, is really a profound, way of being of service to other people. But yeah, there's the moral of the story. And I'm trying to convey this to you because obviously that was an experience that hopefully all of you guys have, if you've not all had them already. And they're out there waiting for you everywhere. Because
Let's go back to the listing. Yes. So we did take the listing that you were meeting with him, of course. And if I recall correctly, we did have both sides of that. And then that led to many more transactions. A nice, really great, long relationship with Dr.
And he did
Powell.
private mortgages for us too. If we had if we needed somebody to, do
He saved a couple deals.
He did. It was his attorney, accountant attorney, and I call him up and I say, I've got somebody that needs a $400,000 mortgage, and he wouldn't even ask Paul. He'd say, okay, and he'd send me back what the terms were, and he did. He saved deals. So that was when Julie and I were doing our guaranteed home sale. If it was, one of these complicated domino type deals and it was maybe something we weren't comfortable guaranteeing, we'd call up Dr. Paul and he'd guarantee it. He put no problem.
It was a great relationship.
It was.
Yes. Now, all of this to say, this whole story stemmed from having one of the first really great high-end listings in a neighborhood that we were on purpose going after.
That we had no right to be there.
No right to be there. And did a killer open house. Got noticed by somebody like him. We did a lot of other business from other open houses there, but that was a really great demonstration that we were on the right path.
It is funny, Julie. You're bringing back all these memories. It might be the cold medicine, right?
Probably.
But we had the other agents there, with maybe one or two exceptions, probably one or two exceptions. That's it. Absolutely hated us because we were obviously picking up their expireds, but they all knew each other from private schools. They would all go traipse off and go skiing in Vail. There was, they usually took private jets, this whole hoi polloi lifestyle. And Julie and I were at home hustling, trying to get the listing sold.
Yep.
And that's what caused us to roll into that marketplace, like that market had never seen before, to the extent where we became the number one listing agents. Now, we weren't the number one listing agents forever because there was a builder there who'd list their specs. But the moral of the story is the hustle mattered. And what you guys learn in Premier Coaching, and hopefully are learning from the vibe you get from our podcast, is the hustle that you guys can emulate.
Yes, which, by the way, is a lot less expensive than, say, buying leads. Okay, number 4, leverage digital marketing and social media. Of course, utilize digital marketing strategies to reach those affluent buyers and sellers. Video some beautiful listings, of course, with permission. They don't have to be your listings, by the way. And discuss why those homes are so special. Highlight a luxury builder or a new development or building. What are their high-end amenities? You can do a story about that. You can do endless amounts of shorts, little snippets. Create visually stunning content that showcases luxury properties and lifestyle amenities. Upgrade your media resources and engage your luxury audiences on platforms, of course, like Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I saw a video from one of the agents here in Dorado yesterday, and you'll remember this house. It's the marble black floors house, okay?
Well, it's a marble black floors house. We're going to throw a celebrity spin on it, right?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Jake Paul.
Oh, that's right.
Who just fought Mike Tyson.
He rented it, I think.
He did.
For a while.
He rented it.
Okay, so this particular house has been around as a rental, a VRBO, a longer-term rental. It's been for sale a few times. This is an agent friend of mine who just did a really cool video that the way that she went about it to highlight this point, that you can, really highlight the house to get eyeballs and then engage your luxury high-end people. She did this really cute video where she was highlighting the house and she said, we're going to play hide and seek. Okay. And so she was hiding in each room, but the videographer was filming the room. So it forced you to look more closely at each room. And I swear to you, I noticed things about that house that were cool about the house that I had forgotten about. It really did a great job. And then she would pop out of a cabinet or something like
That's
that.
fun.
It was fun.
Is this Erin?
Yeah, it was really fun.
Well,
it was really cute.
She's got little kids too, so that
Yeah, and
probably motivated her.
she's kind of got that personality.
Yeah.
But I noticed it because she took a house I was already familiar with, because you and I have seen that either at parties or we looked at it at one point. And she just made it more interesting. She made me take a second look at it. And, I'm sure she's going to get some great action from that. So you can do fun things like that. It doesn't have to be like a stuffy home tour all the time. Okay, so my favorite point that you teed me up for in the beginning, number 5, prospect high-end expired listings. This is the fastest and most efficient way to take your first expensive listing. There are tons of advantages to this approach. The seller's go-to agent, as Tim discussed with you earlier, has failed to sell the home. You know what the wrong price probably is. In some cases, it might still be an okay price, but it's been market tested. There's been feedback. You know what needs to be corrected in the house. And most importantly, assuming that the seller now has to sell, wants to relist, they're more motivated for the second, third, fourth agent. They'll do things for the second time expired agent they would never have done on the front end.
All right, so this weekend, Julie and I are going to be in Miami. We're not there for a formal real estate event. We're going up there to hang out with some friends, and we're going to this, it's called Moda, M-O-D-A, right? Miami?
It's Moda, yeah.
Yeah,
MODA.
and it's going to be at the
Biltmore in Coral Gables, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's basically a RM Sotheby's high-end luxury car auction. There's a really great actual, I think, a car show that's going on. Now, why am I mentioning this? Because at that event, there are going to be wall-to-wall local people in Miami, and a lot of internationals fly in, but I think this is mostly a local thing. And the car culture in Miami is off the charts. And if you're in Miami, if you're anywhere near that market, and you go to that event, you're going to run into people who are, for the most part, being relaxed, doing what they love to do around other people that also love and have the same passion, which is cars. That is the perfect way for you to make friends with folks in these very luxurious high-end markets, so you can actually then obviously start, getting invited to other events and possibly doing some real estate deals. You guys get it? So Julie, this was her first point. This is a great way to round the bend. Oh, and by the way, if you're in and around Miami, we are going to be there. What, Julie? Saturday?
Friday and Saturday mainly.
Maybe Friday at the end of the day, and then Saturday for sure.
All day, yeah. And then we fly
Right.
on Sunday.
We're going to go to the RM auction on Saturday night. Right. That's always a hoot too. But in any event, so if you're in and around Miami and you want to, if you're going to go to that event and you're there and you want to find us, you can just text me at 5. Actually, we'll be posting on Instagram. We can communicate through Instagram. That's the best way to do it, at timandjulieharris.com. Yeah, but again, if you are in any place in the world right now listening to us and there's an event going on, if there's a organized, like in Laguna Beach, they used to do organized where they go clean up the beach. People would get up at 6 a.m. and they'd
Those
walk.
are great for this.
They walked the length of the beach, and then they'd pick up any trash that was there, anything that's going on, any sort of charity things. Be yourself, doing what you love to do, but go do it in the markets that you want to be selling real estate in. Get off your duff, make yourself a little uncomfortable, brush your hair,
and your teeth.
and your teeth. And then go to the markets that you want to be migrating to sell in, and then you're going to discover that they're just like you.
Yes, and this is, to me, this is the fun part of real estate, honestly. And if I was not podcasting with you and on coaching calls all day, and I was selling real estate full time again, I would do probably 10 times as much as I would probably feel like doing. And, I'd find things that were fun. Like you said, be yourself, do the things that you like anyway, but also make sure that you're not a secret agent. It's not enough to just go to the events. You have to actually talk to people, get to know them.
It doesn't have to be just a big event like I just described. An event could be going to the local gym or going to the local club and working out on a regular basis. But you can't just earplug yourself in and pull your hat down.
No secret agent stuff.
No secret agents. You're going to have to go out there and get to know people and really work the group. Julie and I don't sell real estate anymore. But if we did and we were selling real estate where we are now, it would be so much freaking fun.
So much fun. Even now, just the leads that we have from the gym, right?
I know.
So and you were talking about, it doesn't have to be a big blowout event, although those can be fun. Like Amelia Island's coming up for our Florida listeners in March.
That's for a car thing.
For car things. Now, so if I were living in, say, Carmel by the Sea, an area that we know really well because of another car event, there are Saturday and Sunday farmers market in the square right downtown. That's perfect. Some of you do pet charities. A lot of our coaching clients do buy or sell with me, adopt a pet for free. You can do organized pet meetups, dog days. You can do all of this kind of fun stuff. A couple of my coaching clients are now doing little mini, regular dinner parties for some of their past clients, center of influence, and involving new people.
You can do digital stuff, but you cannot ever be confused that the digital stuff can replace the real people stuff. The real people stuff is where the money's made, and especially in upper end. That is so flipping true. Your upper end consumer is not going to Instagram and deciding which listing agent they're going to use. I promise you. They're not even, go to your Instagram, look at your analytics or your Facebook or your YouTube. Look at your analytics. Look to see what the average age of the person is that's consuming your content. And you're going to realize that for the most part, it's a younger demo that maybe, people that are only in hypothetically the price range that buyers would be in. That's not necessarily where you're going to be finding those luxury sellers. So today's podcast was about working with luxury sellers and with working with luxury buyers. Hopefully, we've given you guys the education and the motivation and, frankly, the realization that you can do it too. Trust me when I tell you, when Scrubby, Tim, and Julie can do it, you guys can do it as well.
Absolutely. But I would caution you to not just choose one thing from our 5 plus points today. Do all of them. None of this costs you any money.
Get involved in Premier Coaching. We've got a whole section in there about working with luxury real estate. And look, we could talk about this forever. We were so broke when we got into real estate. We went to a consignment store, which is a fancy way of saying thrift store. And if you ever come across any of our ancient pictures online of when Julie and I first started selling real estate, when we were on covers of magazines and all this after we sold 100 houses our first year, we were wearing clothes that we got. The reason they look like the clothes don't fit is because they didn't fit because we got them from a consignment store, right? And then when we started going to these more expensive markets, there were always local consignment stores. There's another little, pro tip. There's almost always a high-end consignment store that's adjacent to a high-end community, usually 2 or 3. And so if you're worried that you don't have the right look to fit into that particular community, go to those high-end consignment stores and maybe pick up an Hermes scarf or maybe pick up a St. John's suit or whatever it is that you think would be appropriate in that marketplace. Please don't look for excuses why you can't do it. Go out and be adventurous because, guys, you only live once and you're dead a real long time, and there's frankly less work that goes into selling a luxury house in most of the cases than is a normal sale price house. So make the most of the market. And by the way, be very celebratory that the interest rates are finally falling.
Yay! Keep going that direction.
Have a great day.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.